what you need to know. This is South Florida's Health and Wealth Radio, AM 1470, WNN.
Here's some great news from Tom Trento, host of the daily WNN Trento Vision Show. Due to the unparalleled success of the Trento Vision Show, you now have an amazing opportunity to advertise on the Trento Vision Show. If you want more information about this excellent opportunity for your business, please contact Tom Trento at 561-319-5533, or you can email him, tom@trentovision.tv. The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to Trento Vision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Trento Vision is hosted by Tom Trento. Tom can be reached at 561-319-5533 or tom@trentovision.tv. Listen and watch every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN and trentovision.tv. Now, let's get a peek at Tom's view of the world. Here's Tom Trento.
Live, Tom.
We are live. Welcome back to trentovision.tv. We can also hear us on WNN, on iHeartRadio. Also watch us online at trentovision.tv, where we bring you the information of the day and current hot topics, which ones today we're talking about is the new edicts issued down from the Mount Obama. The 23 edicts. The Emperor has spoken, King, Lord, the monarchy has spoken, and we have 23 more edicts to deal with concerning guns.
Yeah. At 7 minutes after 4 here in Boca Raton, Florida. WNN 1470 AM. 888-565-1470, and you are here with Tom Trento and Mark and Mike and CJ, and we are going through the list of 23 presidential edicts on gun control.
And where are we at here?
We're on number 5, which is really, really interesting.
CJ's jumping at the bit to get to number 5.
Yeah,
so go ahead and read it, CJ.
What's your zip code?
Yeah. Propose rulemaking to give law enforcement the ability to run a full background check on an individual before returning a seized gun. Now, what the heck does that mean?
Well, I like the part before returning a seized gun, meaning that they can seize it.
Which means that it wasn't returned, it was seized. Yeah. So I don't know if that means if you voluntarily, because local police departments will often have a day where, people are cleaning out their attics or their basements or something like that, and they find, grandpa's old gun or something like that, and they don't want to have it in the house. And so, they want to give it back. So the police have, gun return day or something like that, and a lot of times they pay you in different jurisdictions to return, firearms. And so now are they going to run background checks on the people who are returning guns?
Yeah, it's like now the federal government has to run a background check on pretty much any time a gun transaction is made in the United States. Now there has to be a federal background check to do anything. So, you're talking about where is the time limit? Where is, it's just so vague, all these things. It's so vague.
First of all, it's a proposal for a rule. It's not a rule in and of itself.
Oh, he issues an order.
And to give law enforcement the ability to run a full background check, which law enforcement, state, local, county, federal, who, we don't know.
Right.
To run on an individual, you, before returning a seized gun?
I know. It's
how can you return a seized gun?
Well, maybe they seized it during they have a raid and there's guns. Okay, it's got a serial number on it. Okay, I get my gun and before I can give it back to you, apparently my gun was stolen for whatever reason.
Right.
Cops find it. They go, serial CJ. Here you go. CJ, here's your gun back, CJ.
Okay.
No, I can't just give it back to you. I have to run another full background check on you before I return the gun to you that was legally purchased and stolen from you.
Right. So I guess that's how that works. So there's our proposed rule.
We just got another iHeartRadio user. I just hooked up somebody's iPhone with iHeartRadio so they can listen to Trento Vision every single day.
Oh, good. So, yeah, we were just talking about the proposed rulemaking to give law enforcement the ability to run a full background check on an individual before returning a seized gun. We were discussing that one. And you got any comments to make on that one, Tom?
No.
Okay. You read through these things and you're just going, oh my God, what are they doing? And it just gets worse and worse and worse.
Let's tell everybody. Did you tell everybody what we're doing? I missed. Yeah. I was doing.
We're going through just a recap. We're going over the new Obama edicts issued from Mount Obama. And he has 23 edicts he's now pushed out through the land as a not executive order, it's executive statement now. That's where I'm getting kind of confused on what he actually did. Are they 23 individual executive orders? Are they individual executive proclamations? Or what are these things, Tom? Are you there?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Are you
these are executive orders and directives, and they carry the weight of the administration.
Okay.
And what they are designed to do is to launch some bureaucrats' effort into getting involved in this whole deal, which means it's going nowhere. This whole thing is going absolutely nowhere. You think Congress is going to stop the fiscal cliff, the end of the world, the budget crisis, need for a balanced budget amendment, and start going through this sort of material? This is going to take years and years and years just to figure out what they're supposed to do.
So maybe we have nothing to worry about, and why are we bothering to talk about it?
Well, it's a good idea. Let's go to the next subject.
Yeah.
The reason why we should talk about it is because it raises the issue of violence in America, of gun violence. I did not see anything on here, though I did hear him say that he wants to check into, Hollywood and violent films. Is there anything on here that relates to Hollywood and violent films?
There was something at the bottom of the list. It's kind of like gloss,
What does it say?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't see anything.
No.
Yeah, hold on.
You guys look at it, but
No.
Listen to this scam then.
No.
He said we also need to take seriously and look at the relationship between media violence and gun violence. He said that, but see if any of these 23 items actually covers that.
They don't.
They don't
now,
actually.
Now, if you're putting an edict or a directive or an executive order out, you want to say the President of the United States requires Hollywood or encourages the Hollywood industry to launch a campaign to analyze the relationship between gun violence and their films, particularly video games, because it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. A kid plays with all video games, killing people. He becomes desensitized to it. Then his friend gives him a gun. They get mad at a few people. They go shoot people.
Right.
So there's a direct cause and effect relationship. Now we're messing with the First Amendment. How far can a media person go with depicting violence and not have it violate some sort of First Amendment issue? Well, he didn't even bring that up because guess where he gets all his funding for his parties, and guess where he's going to go live?
Right.
He's going to live in Hollywood, but he's going to have a house in L.A. next to George Clooney. I think he's in love with George Clooney.
Right.
Oh no! Let's not go there.
Looking over all these edicts here, what this really does is give you an insight into his thinking, into Obama's thinking, and the Democrat thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Is because what you have is you're not responsible. You're not responsible enough to handle a gun, so we have to take care of it. We Big Brother have to come in there and tell you what to do, and that's his whole macro psychology on this whole thing.
Basically, it's akin to in the Soviet era.
Right.
Okay. kind of like if you want to have a gun, you're an enemy of the state. Therefore, really, you must have a mental defect or mental problems, because that's what a lot of these edicts address.
Is a mental issue.
Mental issue. But it's not the mental health issue of the people who really are mentally ill. It's the mental health issue of the people who actually want to own guns. And therefore, if you want to own a gun, you probably have a mental health issue, and we're going to uncover it.
And also, in addition to that, also, you have no privacy from the government. There is no privacy from you. I mean, all your records now are open source book to anybody who wants to see them. All your doctor records, all your things are all open book to the government to come in there and do whatever they want to do. They see fit to rule over you because you have no more privacy.
Think about it. All of these leftists who screamed for years and years and years during George Bush's 2 terms of office about the Patriot Act are quiet on this. Not only that, they're advocating for it.
Let me ask
How is this different than the Patriot Act?
Well, let me ask you this in a more direct way. You know, later down the list here, he talks about open up the medical records. Doctors are the new sheriffs in town. That they have to release all this information.
Yeah.
Imagine if George Bush would have come in there and said, okay, you know what? To go after terrorism, what we're going to do is anybody who comes into a doctor's office has to, give the nationality of the person. If they suspect a terrorist coming into the medical office, you have to open up all your medical records to see if they're psychologically unstable to actually be in the country.
Right.
I mean, opening up the medical records for anybody to look at to do with whatever they want to do to control guns? Are you insane?
Right.
Or how about all you lawyers out there? How about if you have a client? Hey, listen, I have a client out here. I have a client who's, we think that he might have murdered somebody with a gun. So, therefore, you have to give us all your...
You have to narc out on your client.
You have to give us all your private information.
Yeah.
On him. Where's all this confidentiality thing? Are we just going to throw that out now?
Yeah. Well, you guys want to take a call from somebody who probably has something very pithy to say on the subject?
Yes, we will bring Mort on.
Yes, let's bring Mort on.
Mike.
I can't follow my own introduction, but my main aggravation with Obama is the same as it's been since the first day I heard him, his mellifluous tones. He commits verbal violence. What he does is prostitute our language, the English language, by changing definitions deftly to serve his own MO.
Absolutely.
And he's good at that. So you can't just listen to what he says. You have to listen to it very, very carefully before you realize that anything he says is wrong. And this trickles down to his enablers, which are the unions and some of his nominees like Hagel and Brenner and Kerry. You cannot listen to what they say. Plus his 30-plus czars and Eric Holder and Pelosi and Reid and Napolitano. These people are not reliable in what they say. I refer to them as Obama's goons. So what I see is that we don't really have. And he's changed the word gun control to gun violence, as we speak.
Right.
As I see it, we don't really have a gun violence problem or a gun control problem. We have a goon violence and a goon control problem.
Oh, good point.
Good point.
I love it. Yeah.
I'll quit while I'm even.
No, that sounds good, Mort. That sounds good. And what Mort is talking...
Let's spin off of that for a second. Mort's raised a very important point. It's very easy to be in our position to attack, these ridiculous, some of these ridiculous statements. Some make a little bit of sense, but they're pie in the sky dreaming. But we're pretty smart people here at TrentoVision.tv. We've all been to school and learned a bunch of stuff. What would we do if the president said, "Okay, wise guys, you wise-ass Trento people, you think you're so wise? Give me some recommendations how we stop gun violence in America." What would you two wise guys do?
Okay, this wise guy would first call upon the chief medical officer. I forget what they call the chief medical officer in our government.
The Surgeon General?
Surgeon General, to give Obama the same battery of tests you would give to someone enlisting as a private in the Army. I want to know what he thinks, how he thinks, and how dangerous his mindset is. Let's have a little bit of testing at the top before we shake up the whole bottom.
That sounds good. I remember during the first Obama campaign, there was I can't remember where it was published, but several physicians diagnosed Obama as a malignant narcissist.
Yeah.
That was. Do you remember that?
Sure, of course.
I would argue with a malignant, but no problem with that. By the way, I see that you have a nice drawing of a young fellow up on the screen.
That's right.
I take some slight objection to that. I know that guy, and he's much taller than he appears.
So do we, and he's not. But no, more praises. And my question is to the three of you: what would you do to put a one-page of 4 recommendations to the president that have teeth to them? These recommendations that has some end of stopping or decreasing gun violence in America.
Well, that's a very. It's the question is what you're talking about. Is your goal to protect children like in the Sandy Hook Elementary School? It gets more specific. I mean, gun violence is such a huge, macro thing when you say in that context.
We'll break it into 2 parts because that's a good qualifying question. The precedent for this discussion today, the precedent for the press conference was the tragedy on December 14th, 2012 at 9:45 in the morning in the town of Newtown, Sandy Hook Elementary School. The precedent was a mentally deranged young kid going in and killing everybody at a unguarded, soft target school. So step number 1, let's look at the offense that occurred. How do we harden or solidify the protection of our young children at elementary schools? Let's just do that. What's 3 or 4 recommendations for that?
May I jump in for a second?
Sure.
Yeah.
How would it be if the entity called Parent Teachers Associations, which I haven't heard about in a long time, how would it be if the parents were herded together and would come up with a schedule whereby the parents of the kids in school would volunteer their time and cover that school like a blanket with representatives in shifts, so that the school has parents of children who are in attendance on the premises, out of the way, but on the premises for the entire school day.
Okay, I'm listening.
One solution.
Mark, CJ?
Yep.
With the ability to, with their telephones to call 911 if they have to, and let the parents be in evidence at all times while the school is open.
That's a good point, and I was going to actually make a similar statement. What you're making is you look at it. Okay, we all agree that the president has the right to have security with guns around him. We all agree that the kids should have Secret Service should have protection around them with guns and arms and stuff like that, because a lot of crazy people out there who'd love to kidnap them. We all agree that, and governors should have security around them. We all agree that all the way down the line. Well, when does it stop? When does,
Do we all need security around us all the time? And maybe we should have a national police force.
Well, and Eric Holder could do that. No, what I'm saying is the parents, and the parents are not armed. We do not need armed parents. We do not need armed teachers. But we need the parents on the premises the whole time. And what I would do is totally totally ignore Obama. Get him out of it. Who the hell needs what he has to say? Get this done on the state level. The states are charged with the education program. Ignore the government. I don't care what they say. Whatever they say, forget it. That is the federal government. And let each individual state apply their intelligence to this, as opposed to waiting and trying to knee-jerk in response to what Obama and his enablers have to say. Get them out of it. Just ignore them. Forget what they say.
Well, I hope that's exactly what Congress does.
Me too.
Hey, I got some stuff here. My compatriot here raised a very interesting point that what was his first name again? I forgot that kid's name. It's probably good. Lanza was his last. Adam Lanza. He didn't own the gun. He stole the guns from his mother. Mm-hmm. Connecticut obviously has a comprehensive package of prohibitions against gun use, all of that. So you could write another 1,000 laws that would not have stopped Sandy Hook. Well, but there is also, my compatriot where I am said there are a couple of places that have popped up where veterans are taking time and protecting the schools. Now, here's the issue. As a parent paying serious taxes in Newtown, there's an assumption that the kids are going to be safe at school. But in this new world, that assumption is not sufficient anymore. So a new paradigm has to be developed. And quite possibly, and we've said this 1,000 times on Trento Vision, the CIA and other international intelligence organizations have discovered one of the jihadis' perfect plans for inflicting tremendous psychological damage on America vis-a-vis Sandy Hook. That is the perfect day of killing of 20 Sandy Hooks all happening at the same time in a day. It's going to happen. So what do? Have another press conference after that happens and said, oh, we never knew terrorists would do this. We know terrorists are going to do it. We have to harden these schools. It's that simple.
Well, that's a point I was going to, with all right, well, I mean, unfortunately, we don't live in Andy Griffith world anymore, okay? The things have changed from 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, even the 1980s when I grew up, when, having a gun, and coming to school or something like that is insane. Bringing a knife, is insane. And now you go out to California and, they have metal detectors coming to schools. They actually, which is kind of odd, the most violent, the most, troubled schools in our land have police there with metal detectors. Why do they have armed police there with metal detectors?
Well, let's ask the audience. 888-565-1470 at 27 minutes past 4 o'clock on the East Coast. If you're our good friends on the West Coast, it's only 1:27. You have more of your day left than we do in California. Can you imagine that? But we got up earlier than you did, right, Eddie? We got up earlier than them, and we got more done because California, you're so far behind us, it isn't funny. But I guess our friends in Israel or Spain or England or Italia, if you haven't been to Italy, folks, you got to get to Italy in your lifetime. It's already nighttime for those guys. But for our good friends on the East Coast in Florida, even a couple of friends in the Central Time Zone, you got enough of the day left to get a lot done. We're here on Trento Vision. We're discussing the President's press conference. And Joe, I love the way he calls him. Well, Joe said this and Joe said that. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's just amazing. We're discussing their new initiative to use, and this is political stuff, to use the tragedy at Sandy Hook to move in a leftist political direction couched in conciliatory language with conservatives. We've got to look through it and see it's nonsensical, but we've got to not let this argument die, make it a Second Amendment argument, whether you like guns or not. That's not the issue. It's a constitutional issue. But we have to use it to alert America to the dangers that exist at soft targets in the USA. And we need a new paradigm. As I said, maybe it is getting veterans to volunteer time, or every neighborhood, as a result of neighborhood crime, which increased dramatically in the 70s and 80s. Virtually every neighborhood in the United States of America started a neighborhood patrol, unarmed patrols, where they're the eyes and the ears of community policing. I was involved extensively in that. And why can't there be something like that? You're kind of leaning toward that, where we have a neighborhood patrol of schools, and you just put more eyes and ears on the thing. And guess what? If there were 6 people in that school when Adam Lanza went in a couple of days earlier to do his reconnaissance, he may have said, "Oh, I got to bring more armament," or, "You know what? This ain't going to work. There's too many people there." Who knows?
And what if the kids were instructed from kindergarten up that if you see somebody you don't recognize who seems like they don't belong in your school, that you report it to somebody?
Well, and take it once, and there's actually a technological, assistance on this over in the UK, and actually in many cities you just don't realize it. And as we're walking through
Jerusalem, they have cameras everywhere.
We had Jerusalem. We walked down the streets of Jerusalem. There's a camera everywhere, and especially we should have the cameras monitoring what's going on in school systems, what's actually happening, and have someone to monitor what's going on. I mean, a threat.
Okay, but look at it this way, because I remember right after this particular school shooting happened, and then there was that principal out in Texas, and he came out and said, he's going to make sure that the teachers in his school are armed, kind of like sky marshals, that you wouldn't know who they were, because he's out there 20, 30 minutes away from where law enforcement could come assist them if something happens. So in that situation, it doesn't really help you that you have cameras everywhere, because cameras really, all they do is catch a perpetrator, and maybe you could prosecute somebody after the fact.
Yes and no, CJ. Is on the point of the cameras. There's surveillance cameras to monitor anybody's coming in doing suspicious behavior around the school.
Right.
There's also, simple things. Like they put the cockpit door on the airplane, between the cabin's office. So when people come into school at 9:30, the doors are shut. They're locked. A secured door. Nobody can get in.
If I may jump in, if you have parents patrolling, and they don't have to patrol all day, each person, if they can donate contribute an hour or 2 hours to a shift. If you have parents controlling the periphery of these public schools where they have their own children, they have a vested interest in the security like nobody else would.
Exactly.
Paid or unpaid. And the other thing, which is unrelated, I was just thinking, good old Barack Obama refers to good old Joe Biden now. He calls him. I think Joe should have his own press releases, and the heading should be Al Jazeera.
Yeah.
Al Jazeera.
Yeah,
pretty good. All right, here's a couple of things. And if somebody wants to get in the conversation with Mort or CJ or Mark or Mike or Tom or Eddie, give us a call, 888-565-1470.
Let's read
toll free.
Yeah,
Cheapskates can even call. You don't have to pay. 888-565-1470. We're discussing the president's press conference and the 23 edicts that the monarch, I'm going to refer to this guy as a monarch, and those people that voted for him are the peasants, because that's exactly what's occurring. But I put, just quickly off the top of my head as we're talking, I put 5 edicts that I would like to see implemented in the next 30 days. And they may take, 6 months to a year to finalize these. But number 1, I would do a study in the United States of the state that has the best control management of guns, of a comprehensive gun policy, from the way guns are sold, to the way guns are managed, to the way gun violence is dealt with, to the penal code related to gun use. I'd see which state really has it down right. And then on the opposite side, I do a study to find the worst state that has the worst policies. Now you've got the two extremes, and studying both of those states, you can probably develop a pretty comprehensive program of factual policies that will work to control and minimize gun violence, gun damage in a particular state. Number one. Well, those are 2 points. Number three is, so the worst state, the best state. Number three is, I'm a big person on the penal code. And I know some states have this, that if you are committing a crime and you're carrying a gun, there's a mandatory, no questions asked. We don't care if you made a mistake. We don't care, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, all that can be determined. But serious time, at least 10 years. You walked into a store, the gun is, you didn't wave it, you didn't do anything. You took a gun in to steal or hurt somebody else. You had a gun with you, 10 years. If you took the gun out and showed somebody the gun, 25 years. Or maybe life. If you shoot somebody and kill them, obviously you get the death penalty. Guess how many states would not go for that? All the anti-death penalty states.
Right.
Well, if you got an anti-death penalty state, guess what? I'm going in with a gun. The worst I can get is life. But you know what? It's worth a gamble. So I didn't hear a thing about the penal consequences of committing crimes. And you've got to have preventative information in there. And death penalty doesn't prevent crime. I was studying this stuff 25, 30 years ago. The death penalty prevents that person from committing a crime again. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to our list here so we can get through this thing before the end of the century here.
Okay.
That
Trento guy talks a lot. How are you going to get through anything with that guy?
God, do you think he has a show with his name on it or something? Sure talks a lot.
I'm going back to the drawing board.
All right. We got
Mort's going to go back to the drawing board.
All right, Mort. Thanks for calling, buddy.
Thank you, Mort.
Yes, man. Bye.
And we got Valanda on the line. Let's bring her on the line.
Yeah, we do. No, she dropped. She dropped, but she'll be back.
Okay.
We love Rolanda.
Yep. Yeah, we do.
And, number 7 is launch a national safe and responsible gun ownership campaign, because you're too stupid, America, to realize how to handle a gun.
Maybe we need, like, Smokey the Bear doing little cartoon
so
videos.
Let's
hey, kids, don't be playing with guns.
Hey, did you guys, I sent you James O'Keefe's video.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch that?
Yeah, that was hilarious.
It was a great spoof on these sad people that are publishing the gun owner names. But can you imagine the left, the soft-thinking, cotton candy-headed leftists coming up with a gun safety campaign? I mean, Mort, you want some funny stuff to write about.
Yeah. I love the one that came out the other day where I saw where they actually had there's an intruder breaking into the house. And so the guy, the new California gun campaign one, where the intruder comes breaking into the house, all right, and the guy rolls over in his bed and he goes, he does 911, right, and he goes, 911, because I need to open up my safe because it was electronic and they had to open it up.
The key.
He goes,
yeah.
What state's your problem? He goes, there's an intruder breaking my house. I need to get in my safe. Can you give me the last 4 digits of your social security number, please?
Yeah. No. For English,
press 1. That's exactly what it was. But that's... And it just went to a whole series of just like inane things. And finally, he goes, can you check to make sure he has it? Are you sure he has a gun?
Yeah.
Are you sure he has a gun? Because we're not allowed to issue it unless he has a gun.
Wait a minute. Let's have a dialogue about why you're holding a gun to me to begin with. Must be something from your childhood causes you to break into my house and think you want to harm me, but really you don't. So let's have a dialogue about why you might be thinking about hurting me, pal. Oh, talking is over.
And after the guy gets shot in the head and he's laying there bleeding on the ground, he goes,
yeah, what'd you do that for?
He goes, no, I love it.
But I love you.
And the safe pops open and it goes, ping, you're now authorized to use your gun.
Oh, really?
You are now authorized
to use your gun.
like the airline commercial. You are now authorized to leave the country.
I have another note from my compatriot here. He's reminding me that we're talking about the hypocrisy and idiocy of the left. And we read these stories all the time. A 6-year-old boy was pointing his finger at a kid in school. Bang, 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 playing cowboys and Indians, whatever little kids play. And, he got thrown out of school for that. He got kicked out of school. Now, George, all the Hollywood people can go make unbelievably violent games where this kid could actually play these games and kill people. And Obama, that's okay.
Yeah.
But the kid is doing what little boys do, and he gets thrown out of school. And you know what the other hypocrisy of all of this is? As we weave our way through 23 presidential, we like when the president puts out edicts. It's
Ukazi.
It's like softballs coming in.
It is.
But the every one of these asinine Hollywood limousine liberals who just hates guns violence, every single one owns their own gun, and
That's
every
right.
single one has armed guards protecting them.
That's right.
So
And every single one of them has a
made
movie
made their
move-
money in movies where there was guns,
violence, and shooting at people and killing people. Every last one of them.
But do we see a common theme here? Okay, because it seems like every day, what are we doing? What are we talking about? If we're talking about Al Gore's era or presidential edicts on gun control, it's all about the hypocrisy of the left. Everything is about hypocrisy.
Yeah, it's in the world of philosophy, it's called postmodernism.
Yep.
And postmodernism simply is when a group of people, a culture, abandoned Aristotelian logic, abandoned a logical apparatus to analyze issues and make decisions that follow the data,
That's
but
right.
instead follow some emotional or ethereal or wishful view.
That's
You've
right.
gone from a modern society to postmodern, which is emphasizing emotion over logic.
Right. And
That-
part of that, Tom, is
Let me
what...
finish. Let me finish.
Okay. I'm sorry, there was a
What-
pause.
When it's called taking a breath, but that's okay. When that happens, do you want a postmodern pilot flying your airplane around? Do you want a postmodern doctor saying, I'm not going to follow the procedure. I just feel I should operate on the left side of his head instead of the right side of his head? Do you want postmodernism to come into play in critical apparatus of our society, of our culture? How about a postmodern president? Welcome to the new America. Yes,
Yep.
CJ.
What's interesting about what you're talking about is, when I grew up back in the 1970s and 80s in Indiana, this thought of the gun.
Back home again in Indiana. Oh, I'm sorry.
And you grew up in New Jersey, and even
Back home again in
New
New Jersey.
But this is actually a cultural problem that we've just gotten away from. Where is now this violence is all around us, all over the place, and we're like, what is going on here? What is wrong? And you're exactly right. We've so redefined ourselves, even from the last 20 or 30 years from when I grew up, is now we have to do extraordinary measures to protect our safety, which we've never had to do before. And either we solve the cultural angle on it and somehow get back to a more ethical approach to life, or we deal with it, and we have to deal with it in a security manner. It's only two options that we really have. And which ones are easier to solve? Well, the security methodology is actually easier to solve. We have to protect our schools. We have to put up more and it just keeps going down the line. But until we solve the core issue of who we are and what our values are and where we're at, these problems are going to get exponentially worse.
Following along those lines, I had a meeting recently with a very secular person that I know for quite a while, and they made the observation in the meeting. They said, I've been looking at something, and I'm noticing that that people that are abandoning the principles of the West, abandoning the principles of America, abandoning the support for Israel, I'm noticing a theme, a common, and this is a very intelligent person,
Right?
A secularist, not a religious person. He said, I've narrowed it down to the majority of these people have no faith in God, no belief in God. He goes, there seems to be a relationship between no belief in God and an abandonment of the principles of the Judeo-Christian worldview. What do you guys think?
Well, it all depends. Define your faith in God for me, because I could argue with you on that one. As far as a faith in a God that says everyone must die or be killed if you don't agree with me, or the faith in God that says, you know, the ones that America was founded upon, the Judeo-Christian type of God.
In context, he was talking about the Judeo-Christian worldview, so the abandonment of the Judeo-Christian God of the Hebrew Bible and the God of the New Testament.
Right, and well, the point being is that, you know, once you have a belief in that type of founding principles, which America was founded and based upon, and come to an idea that people have to have some spiritual inside guidance, or they're going to be lost. You know, it's pretty obvious, it's pretty evident, and it's pretty you know, black and white. But you can't convince, you know, people on the left of that. It's like,
no, because they're godless by definition.
You know, their God is the government. And if your God is the government, you want the government to get bigger.
Or solve the government solves the problems. So
yeah.
Obama's got to solve the gun problem. Oh, my God.
So that's where we've gone. They've replaced God with government. So,
hey, do you think, I'm asking both of you now, do you think...
but it's only if the government is leftist. Because when the government was represented by George Bush in a Republican Congress, then it was the source of evil in the universe and the whole world. And the reason for the jihad against America.
Well, there's good government, democratic government, the God government, and then there's Satan government, which is anything
to do with individual responsibility or reality of threats to your national security.
Yeah.
Did you guys check out, the president also said that in the past month since the shooting, December 14th to now the 16th, 900 Americans were killed by guns.
Yeah, I want to check that. I didn't have a chance to check that figure. What was that? Where did he get that from?
I don't know. I think it's probably accurate, but I'm wondering if it's spun. So maybe during the break, you guys can check that out. And I think what I'm going to do at the break is abandon my Skype position here and start heading back to the fort.
Okay.
Maybe I'll pick you guys up from the car, from the automobile, and call in a little later, or iHeartRadio.
Mm-hmm.
iHeartRadio, Trento Vision on iHeartRadio. I got a new believer over here. We put it on Eddie's phone, and he's a believer in iHeartRadio now. He says he's going to listen every day. So.
Well, Tom, before you go, I'd like to get, you know, I want to skip ahead a little bit and get your opinion on a couple of these down at the bottom of the list, because I think they're very, very important. I think people would like to hear your input on this. Is, you know, this release of a letter to the state healthcare officials clarifying the scope of mental health services on the Medicaid plans must cover.
Give me a number. What number?
Number 20. Number 20.
Release of a letter to state health officials clarifying the scope of mental health services that I have no concept what that means. Services that Medicaid plans.
Well, Medicaid, here's an interesting, and these are a couple of these hidden words, okay? Medicaid is a state plan.
For the poor people, yeah.
Yeah, but state. Well, yeah. What I'm saying is,
it's managed by the state.
It's managed by the states, not by the federal government.
I know, but there's federal matching funds for Medicaid.
But the point being is, he's getting into the individual states, and I think there's a lot of this, you know, these slick little things that are happening with, you know, with this. Yeah.
And
I think he's forcing that. You remember that the whole thing with he's trying to force Obamacare because the Supreme Court said, hey, states can reject it. And now he's trying to weasel his way back into the states on this Medicaid, you know, issue.
Well, here's the thing. Here's my quick response on this. Obamacare is for all of you out there that follow the United West, follow Trento Vision, follow us. For all of you that are aware of what's going on in the world with Israel and the hatred toward Israel, Obamacare is 666. Obamacare is the Antichrist, okay, in many respects. It's a huge federal program that not only is going to suck up the money that your kids are going to have to pay to fund this thing, not only is it going to put 16,000 IRS agents on the public dole, on the public payroll, not only is it going to expand the Democratic ownership of a new bureaucracy, but here's the important part. It is going to be the you ever see these horror movies or these alien space movies where everything comes down to this kind of oozing and throbbing brain that's in the center causing all this destruction? Well, Obamacare is designed by Obama and his lieutenants to have their tentacles in every aspect of life and to manage society through this federal program and bureaucracy. So now they're going to use they're going to transition doctors to become agents of the federal government in managing the behavior, not just the health condition, but the personal behavior of citizens. That's what a totalitarian state has to do. How come I hear myself?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, Tom. You're exactly right. It is total control over everything. And this is what we were saying at the beginning. You know, when they started this, Obamacare has nothing to do with health care. Obamacare is just a way to get in there to control various facets of government to make you dependent upon government. And that was the whole plan of it. That was the whole grand strategy of it. This had nothing to do with health care. Had controlling 1/7 of the federal budget by the federal government, 1/7 of a major part of your life, to be able to get into other parts of your life which have no relation to healthcare, i.e. guns. Here's the perfect textbook example of what is going to come down the mount with Obamacare. I can take this and go to any direction I can go anywhere I want to go with healthcare now, because healthcare controls so much. It has so many tentacles come out. It goes to guns. It goes to, freedom of information. Now I can go in and get free information because I have to know about, your mental status, your healthcare status. If you have PTSD, if you have, oh my God, or if you're taking drugs that could alter your mind, oh my God, you're a threat to society now. Now I can make up any psychological diagnosis on you to make you a threat to society or a threat to the party or whatever. That is the whole intent of Obamacare, is to get into your life.
Yep.
Am I wrong?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
I don't think
it's
so.
frightening. It's frightening. And I go back to John Roberts. I mean, what the hell was going through John Roberts' mind, man? Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Now we have to wait for how many states to challenge it?
Yeah, well, and still, it doesn't matter how many states challenge it. It's done. We were supposed to have a Congress in there. We're supposed to get rid of it. That was going to reject it. Not going to fund it. Or we're not going to fund it.
That was the whole point of electing Republicans, right?
And we got
squishes.
And we got a bunch of squishes up there. You can't even stand by their own words, And that's the reason Congress has a 9% approval rating, that below a cockroach.
Right. Which Mike won't even kill in his own house.
I know. You can't kill a cockroach.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Well,
all right, I'll let you guys close the segment, and I'll.
Well, take us out since you're going. Take us out, Tom.
Yeah, take us away since you're
going. The Skype
going.
thing works pretty good. So
no, actually, the audio is actually working really good here on our side.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever you're doing.
It's this thing going into the.
He's got good acoustics at that Italian restaurant he's in.
We will control the world with Skype and Trento Vision. I'll see you guys later.
All right. Have a safe trip. Have a safe trip.
Catch you after the break.
Bye-bye.
Later. Bye. We're out. We're out of here.